Thank you and welcome. This is the Watching Hawaii podcast. This is our first episode, our pilot. Everything's unedited, so bear with us. For this lead, and I'm just letting you know, we have a Twitter page, we have a YouTube page, and we're gonna have a Spotify and SoundCloud. We're trying to get everything up and going. But as you can see here, if you're just listening, you can go on YouTube and watch. You can go on YouTube and watch for all the things that we talk about. We try to have things that are following the stuff. But the first part is gonna be me and co-host Simon. We're gonna be talking about mostly college football, what happened this Saturday. Then the second part, after me and Simon say goodbye, I ended up coming back in with our other co-host Cold Cuts, and we talked about the fight between Terrence Crawford and Shawn Porter. But we didn't know the man was gonna retire, and yeah, we just happened to miss that while we were talking during the middle of the press conference. But yeah, this episode, as far as college football, we get into the games that happened that day. We get into the dead money situation in college football. Nice article. If you guys are listening, you guys just type in go on ESPN, type in college dead money. You'll see this article we're talking about. If you're watching on YouTube, then you'll see it scrolling on the screen with you. But hey, thanks for coming to listen to our podcast. We appreciate it, and let's get things started. Hello, world, and welcome to the first episode of the Up Watching Hawaii podcast. We might change the name to the Smurfy and Simon Sports Podcast because, our other host ain't here, but we'll see what happens. Currently, we are live watching Oregon versus Utah, and if you're like us, you're trying to figure out what's going on. But we're going to discuss all kinds of topics. As you can tell by the name, normally we're going to broadcast while we're up watching Hawaii actually play football, but unfortunately, this week they will be playing that late game that we want to watch because we're real college football fans. But we on the East Coast, and that game is not being nationally televised, so that hurts. It's a pain. But we're going to the next best thing. We watching the other late game, as they say, Pac-12 after dark, baby. Simon, introduce
Yeah.
yourself.
What's good, y'all? It's Simon, Cy, whatever you want to call me. I'm super excited, man. We've been watching a lot of games today. I watched Ohio State put the beats on Michigan State. I watched Clemson look like Clemson of years past against Wake Forest. And now I'm watching Oregon get taken out to pasture, it seems. But yeah, where do you want to start? What game you want to start with? What game was on your radar this week?
A lot of games on my radar this week. I gave you that very good list that I put out. Multiple games to try to watch. But let's just start from the top. Let's talk about the pure shellacking that Ohio State put on Michigan State. That I think, if we would have looked at the data, we would have saw it coming. Because, every conference, has, that gauntlet of teams. It's, 4 or 6 teams that are, really in contention. It's, you can win on a national level if you can beat those teams and play well against them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one thing that came up that was brought to my attention was hey, Michigan State is, dead last in pass defense in the Big Ten. So I was like, okay, let me go check this out. Somebody could be making this up. This could be an exaggeration, but it's no. They are dead last in passing defense by 70 yards to the next closest team.
Yeah.
The next closest team just so happens to be Ohio State. But I know that stat is skewed by the fact that when it gets in that first part of the second half, teams are throwing up and passing more, trying to get more yards on them. So I was like, okay, that yards part makes a little bit of sense. Then I looked more into it. Then I looked at, okay, how many passing plays are they attempting against Michigan State versus the other teams in that gauntlet? The gauntlet of the Big Ten. Oh, Utah just got another touchdown, y'all.
Yeah,
we'll get to the 2 conferences that are no longer going to be in the playoff this year later on. But as I'm pulling it up now, you guys are going to see it once I get to the screen. You guys are going to see the team defensive ratings, and it's yeah, the amount of attempts people are putting up versus Michigan State versus the other teams that are part of that gauntlet of Big Ten. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Iowa, and Wisconsin. People are attempting about 10 to 15 more pass attempts per game against that defense. So I was okay, so that means people feel like they can pass against them. Because the amount of rushing attempts they get from other teams is just about the same as the rest. But it's like people are like, no, we know we can pass against them because in that first half, because I was mainly watching the Oklahoma Iowa State game. We'll get to that later. But when I tuned in, I watched three drives. I watched Mich- Michigan State scored the drive to get them up 28-0. I'm not Ohio State watched the drive to get them 28-0. Watched Michigan State try to move the ball poorly. Then Ohio State come back again and get them. And one thing I noticed, then I looked at it in the stat line at that point up to the half. Outside of like and one and two to go situations, Ohio State was passing the ball 75% of the time, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
It
insane.
it
Okay.
it, it lets you know that they can put the ball up in the air. So I decided, hey, let's look at the main set let you know, hey, are they getting pressure out of is their D line penetrating? 'Cause I was looking at it and Ohio State was just standing their D line up every play. And I looked at it versus the good teams because they didn't get to play Iowa, Wisconsin on the other side. So the only other good team they got to play, which was us at Michigan, they only had a singular tackle for loss. No sack, nothing else that identified these guys can get pressure up front. So Ohio State knew it and they took advantage of it. My bad, Simon. I know you want to say something.
No, you're good. I had some little technical difficulties. Anyway, back to Michigan State and their pass defense. You see a lot of. You can go back to their loss, right? They have one coming into this week. They have one loss versus Purdue.
Yep.
And what Purdue is good at is passing the ball. They're not very good as a run team. And the issue with Michigan State having a bad pass defense is their offense is run based. They have their quarterback is the kid is and then their running backs are good and their run blocking is good. Their pass pro is not amazing, right?
Yeah.
So against Purdue, in terms of passing yards, Purdue I believe had over 400. No, they had 536 yards passing.
Yeah, I was about to say Purdue put up 5 on them.
Yeah, so they put up 500 yards passing on them. They beat them handily because the issue with giving up a lot of quick scores like that in the pass game is eventually your run game isn't like quick enough to get you back in the game, right? And your defense is now gassed because they're on the field all the time, especially if you can't run the ball efficiently and you're forced to pass. And that's what happened in this game, right? You go down 3 scores early in the first quarter, you can't run the ball anymore. You don't have enough time on the clock. It just doesn't work out that way for you. So now you're throwing the ball, but you're not really a throw first team. You don't have amazing receivers. You don't have a great quarterback. You don't have great play calling in terms of your pass plays. So, yeah, it's kind of just a mismatch, honestly. And Michigan State is always going to struggle with those teams that want to throw the ball over their head. And they're always going to play the teams that can run the ball and are run first pretty close. That's why they've been beating Michigan these last couple of years, but especially this year. The main reason they beat Michigan was because they were able to get a couple of pass plays to go through, and they outran Michigan pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a comment about on what my team got away from in that game versus Michigan State versus what Purdue and Ohio State stayed with is that knowing that their D line actually generates no pressure, not getting really any tackles for loss or anything, is Michigan. We were effective in the first half of the game because we were going vertical passing plays. We were taking the time sitting back and letting passes get upfield. So the defenders actually had to, their DBs actually had to play defense because the DBs aren't that good. Once we got to trying to throw all these quick routes, you can make a good DB, you can make a bad DB look good because he doesn't really have to defend because basically he's already at the wide receiver because the wide receiver didn't go anywhere, and that's what Purdue and Ohio State did. They made sure all their passing plays, they were trying to make sure, you know, if it's 4 guys running a route, only one guy's running a route under 10 yards. They're making sure the plays need time to develop. And Michigan State can generate no pressure, and they were just killing them. Like, we thought Purdue beat up on Michigan State, but god damn. They just they beat them like they owed them money and they needed it back
Yeah,
today.
and honestly, obviously, this knocks Michigan State out of the running for the college football playoff and also knocks them out of the running for the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
because they now have 2 conference losses, and Ohio State can only end up with 2 to break the tie. But if they end up with 2, that's going to end up being probably to Michigan, who
Well,
would go.
Ohio State's only loss is to Oregon, who right
Right.
now
I
is
mean, yeah, my bad.
yeah,
But if they lost to Michigan, Michigan will win the tiebreaker, and they would go.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Current
either now it's back up to Michigan, Ohio State for the Big
for the
Ten
big
championship
yeah
game,
for
as
the
it has been
Big
in
Ten
the
East.
past.
CU gets to play. I believe Wisconsin's on top over there at the moment.
Yes, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and if Wisconsin, if they lose a game, then Iowa can make it back in.
Correct.
Yeah, but yeah, that game we had to start with that because we saw it. Y'all probably saw it. You probably didn't see it. It happened so quickly. There was more
Yeah, and
points.
I'm sure if you
They,
saw it,
they
you
were
weren't like, I'm gonna go turn this game on. I turned it off. I'll tell you all that right now.
yeah. It happened so quickly. Like it happened so quickly because I'm about to switch over to my main game I was watching today at during the noon block, which was Oklahoma versus Ohio State. I decided, to try to check in at the end of the first quarter, and that's when I watched Ohio State put up their 28th points, and I was like, "What's going on here?" Then I went back to watch my game because I was like, "At least Iowa State's being competitive." But also, these are on two different broadcasting networks. This is ESPN versus Fox. I'm watching this game on Fox. Then they mentioned, getting ready to go into the halftime break. They said, well, we'll talk to you guys about Ohio State and Michigan State. Is currently 42-0, and it's still in the first half, I believe. And then the whole announcing crew starts dying.
Yeah,
There's like, ooh wee, and this is after co- uh, it's Rucker, right? Head coach at Michigan State. Is it Rucker?
yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. They
yeah.
just signed him to a pretty hefty extension for about what $9.5 million a year, something like that.
Something ridiculous.
Big
Yeah.
big dollars. We're also going to discuss a topic later about an ESPN article that came about a week or two ago about these college coaches are getting paid to not coach. It's a lot more money than you think it is. But let me get into Oklahoma versus Iowa State. Okay, game game started off like normal Big 12 football, looking close to being a action game. Iowa State gets ball first. They go down methodically, drive down the field. They get a tug. Oklahoma first snap after the touchback. Caleb Williams. They designed a fake bubble screenplay. Fake the bubble QB draw. This boy takes off for 75 yards. I'm like, holy. And then after that, it turns into Big Ten football. Each of them just gets a first down, then punts, and they're just going back and forth. Then about going into the end of the first half, strip sack, Oklahoma gets it, runs it in for a TD, and that's about it. First half, they were trying to pass, but both teams passes were either off target or their wide receivers just dropping it. And also, Brees Hall for Iowa State, they kept that boy quiet the first half and all game for the most part. Let's be honest, all game he didn't really do much. He probably had like 50 yards on the ground and like 20 in the air.
Yeah,
He's
he ended up with 19 carries for 58 yards and a touchdown.
ugh.
That's what he got.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be someone who we think is a Heisman candidate, but hey, it happens. But to talk about, I'll just get to the end. Third quarter, Oklahoma's passing game opened up a little bit, then Iowa State quickly shut it down. But they got up 2 scores. In this point in time, they were able to run, off. They were up 2 scores. So fourth quarter, Iowa State looks like they're going to take a field goal to try to make it a 11 point game. They run a fake field goal where they fake the over the shoulder flip like their LSU, the signature LSU fake field goal play, flipping over the shoulder. They fake that, then throw a jump pass, and it turns into a TD from like 50 out. I was impressed by that. Fourth quarter, Caleb Williams, he gets sacked pretty hard, and Spencer Rattler comes in for a singular snap. Singular snap. That might be his last time touching the ball before he hits that transfer portal. We are somebody got to go. And then Iowa State, they're driving down. They get a last chance. They're driving down, and they almost pull up the near miracle, but Brock Purdy overthrows his tight end, and he gets picked off. Ends the game in the red zone. But most importantly about this game, if you guys did not watch it, one of the finalists for the Mackey Award, which is given out to the best tight end, is this boy named Charlie Kohler. If you haven't seen him play this year, he's nice. But this game, on the last drive, he had like 60 of the yards that they needed from being 80 yards out by himself. The boy he caught 12 for 152 and a tutty. He was on one. Like, he out there putting up wide receiver numbers. He's supposed to be a tight end. Crazy. Yeah, all the way in his bag. Gucci bag.
See, I only caught a couple plays of that, but I did catch the end where he did go crazy. I want to say he had 3 catches in that drive for a ridiculous amount of yards.
Actually, let me check it on ESPN because they normally got the play-by-play.
And while you're checking that, we could get into the 3:00 game that I watched a little bit of because it kind of corresponds to the next topic, which is basically like 2 conferences got eliminated from the college football playoff today. Make no mistake about it. And one of those conferences is the ACC, which is done.
Yeah.
Clemson, I believe they went on the road and beat Wake Forest.
No, Clemson's at home.
No, you're right. They're at home.
They were at home.
However many straight home games. I want to say 13 straight.
Yeah.
No, 20-something straight. I don't know. They have the longest home game win streak in the NCAA right now. And they defended that against Wake Forest.
Yep.
And Wake was always one of those teams this year where, like, you watch them and it was like, oh, they're quietly undefeated for a bunch of games. And then they drop a game and you're like, okay, yeah, that's progression towards the money.
Okay, I got the stats before we move on. Charlie Kohler, on that last drive, got 4 of those catches. 1 for 11, 1 for 20, 1 for 13, 1 for 16. I don't feel like doing the math right now. I know I'm a civil engineer, but y'all do the math. Y'all got it. Y'all know what y'all doing. Y'all smart. Y'all do it. But yeah.
Man. It was fucked up. He was in man, folks. It was mismatch city. It didn't matter who you put on him. And that's what a good tight end does, right?
Yeah.
You're too big for corners, but you're too fast and too strong for linebackers and safeties. So, yeah, he did his job and then some. He looked amazing in the parts that I saw.
Yeah, if they don't, just be like, hey, yo, the Mackey Award is yours after that game, I don't know who these voters are. I know how the Ray Guy Award for punter goes out because Pat McAfee's talked about that a lot. But hopefully Charlie can get this Mackey Award. But yeah, back to Clemson versus Wake Forest. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I don't want to go through like a whole like play-by-play of the game or whatever. You either watched the game or you didn't. What you have to know is that Clemson never stopped being good on defense, right? They were never not good on defense. They just could not move the ball and score really because they didn't have a generational talent at QB like Trevor Lawrence or
Deshaun Watson.
Shout out to Deshaun being a sicko, most likely. Anyway, back to the point.
Big vibes.
DJ, I don't know how to say his last name. Shout out to him. I believe that's Nigerian last name. Yeah, shout out to him. But he's not those guys, right? So he's not pinpoint accurate, and they don't have like crazy receivers either. But they are still amazing on defense. And what happened in this game is that amazingness on defense gave the Clemson offense enough time and enough chances to move up and down the field. And Wake Forest got gashed on defense when it comes to the run defense. Between Kobe Pace and Will Shipley, the team got 300 yards, and then DJ put on another 30 because he's still big. He's still that Clemson, that Deshaun Watson type of body, even if he's not the Deshaun Watson type of talent. He's huge. He's like 6'6", so he can move. And he's 6'6", he can move, he can do everything. And basically, Wake Forest just didn't score until the second quarter. They went into halftime, 17-7. And like I said, I'm not going to do a whole play-by-play. But then towards the third quarter, they kind of gave up a bunch of touchdowns, and it was over from there. And Clemson just looked like the better team all day. They were consistently the better team. Even when they were giving up points, they were giving up points from bad field position that the offense put them in, and one turnover. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's same stuff I got in my notes. Wake Forest's defense has been below average all season. The offense bailed them out. They most of the game, a lot of games they were winning pure shootouts. Fun
Yeah.
to watch, but once you get up against those, that some of those A tier defenses with B level offenses, is going to show that one part of your team isn't put together all that well. And unfortunately for Wake Forest,
Oh, sorry. Put it this way. Put it this way. Army put up 56 on Wake Forest,
that
right?
is true.
Army put up 56
And
on them.
and and
They
they
beat them
and they
70
and
to
they only do one
56.
thing at Army and Navy and Air Force.
Yeah.
They are one dimensional.
Yeah.
If they put up plus
And for
50,
Army, it's running, bro. How do you score? How do you give up 56 to the team that runs all game?
yeah,
And how did you score 70 on the team that runs all game? That just means there was no defense being played.
yeah, no one knows how to play defense.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh,
Their other close game was, well, actually, not their other close game. Their loss to North Carolina, they gave up 58.
yeah.
So they're giving up a bunch of points. So they do.
Shout out the boy Sam Howell. He nice. Shout him
Yeah.
out at UNC. But also I had one thing. Did you hear about what the crowd at Clemson did?
No, I heard they did some trolling stuff, but I didn't see it. What
They started chanting Wake Forest is overrated, and I was like, look at the pot calling the kettle black. Like, look at y'all.
happened? Yeah, y'all came in the season ranked like 2 in the country.
Yeah, and look at y'all. Like, down bad.
Overrated.
But yeah, this is the game that definitely knocked the ACC out of the playoffs. Like,
Right, and the game that's going on right now is getting ready to knock the Pac-12 out the
yeah,
playoff picture as well, because they don't have nobody else.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
I believe Oregon still.
their body else is Utah.
Yeah, exactly. So I believe Oregon's still going to go to the championship game. They may have to play Utah again. I'm not sure.
No, they're both in
Are
the
they in the
north.
same division?
Yeah.
I forgot they're north and
Well,
south.
actually, hold on. Let me check it. Let me see what happens here. Let me see if I could take it back. Get my screen.
Yeah, I mean Oregon's going to go.
Look,
No,
see,
Utah's in the Pac-12 South. Utah's in the Pac-12 South.
they're in the south.
So yeah. And so Oregon is going to go uncontested to the championship game. They're already locked in.
Let me see.
If Utah had lost this game,
Yeah, you're right.
they still would have gone anyway.
Wait, no.
Right?
Hold
Because they
on.
played.
Let me check. I gotta see if they beat Arizona State.
They did.
Okay, yeah, they still would have went.
Yeah, because they would have played Colorado. They would have beaten Colorado.
Yeah, so this is
So
just,
yeah,
yeah, this is just
and
a
they're on a collision course regardless.
yeah,
So
this is the worst preview of a conference championship game I've ever seen. Like, this
For
ain't
a lot
fun.
of- no, it's not. It's horrible. And the question is, like, let's say Oregon goes and wins somehow, comes back and wins the conference championship game. That sucks for them. Like,
It doesn't matter.
you start the season, you beat Ohio State. You go through, you lose to a stiff Stanford team that's not actually good. They ended up. What's their record right now? They're 2-6 in the conference.
They're 3-7 on the year.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're not a good team. And then you go and lose to the one good team that you play in Utah. You avoid Arizona State. So everybody else you played was garbage except for Ohio State, who you beat. This should have been your walk to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You should have walked in, and you didn't.
Should have
But
just.
you know what that means, right? Since he's got a chance, man. Since he's got a chance, everything that since he needed to happen, happened, bro.
They only needed one thing to happen. They got both to happen.
Yeah.
But the only thing that is creeping up behind them that could mess up their short shot. Actually, let me check in on that game right now. I'm about to pull it up for those who are watching on YouTube. Once we actually put this YouTube channel up, you guys are gonna see the score, and we're gonna see what's really bracking. If Oklahoma State right now is beating Texas State, and Baylor also won today. So
yeah, but Baylor has 2 losses, so
yeah.
they're kind of out.
No, because I believe Baylor beat Oklahoma State.
Oh, you're talking about in terms of the.
Big 12 Conference Championship.
Yeah,
The
it's gonna be Oklahoma State most likely, unless Oklahoma State
hold on.
loses. So
Yeah, and
Oklahoma
yeah,
State
and
are 6
yeah.
and 7 right now.
If Texas Tech somehow beats Oklahoma State, then then
And Oregon
Bedlam
State.
between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State next week determines whether or not Oklahoma State gets in. But as long as they
Yeah,
win now, they're in. And then as long as Oklahoma shows up, well, if Oklahoma and Oklahoma State show, if whoever wins the first game turns around and wins the next game and wins both of them handedly, that could possibly be a problem for Cincy. Because it's looking like the
yeah.
college football playoff committee is going to do what they always do, which is give the SEC a little bit too much leeway.
Okay, here's the doomsday scenario. I mean, if you're a college football fan, you already know this is a doomsday scenario. Alabama beats Georgia in the conference championship, right?
Yeah,
They're putting Georgia in. Georgia has punched their ticket to the
yeah.
college football playoff already, right? So then you got Alabama and Georgia, and then you have the Big Ten champion, who's going to be Ohio State most likely, sadly.
Hey,
Um,
my Wolverines still got a chance. Don't doubt us. Don't doubt us. We're not Michigan State.
yeah,
I mean, we fully collapsed against Michigan State because that's what Harbaugh is known to do as a coach. But we can do this. They gotta come. They gotta come to the big house, baby. It ain't no
listen,
little house.
man.
There ain't no little house at the big house. The big house.
Y'all hear this, man? Y'all, hey,
This
look.
this is a big house. It's a big house.
If we go to the last 15 years of Michigan Ohio State games, I think it's 2 Michigan wins in the
Hey,
last
hey,
like
hey,
15 years.
hey. It's about to be 3.
But yeah, you got the Big Ten champion. I mean, hopefully, unless they end up losing to Iowa or Wisconsin, you got the Big Ten champion,
Yeah.
and then you have your fourth team, and a one-loss Big 12 champion can definitely be your fourth team.
Yeah. Well, I was about to
But
get into the 3 o'clock games and talk about it. Go through the list in order, like starting off with Bama versus Arkansas, talking about that. But I guess we'll start off since we're on the topic of who's getting in. I'll just go and talk about what I watched when watching Cincy versus SMU. SMU coming in 8-2. This is a good SMU team. Cincinnati was like, okay, we stumbled like the past 3 weeks on a couple of teams we shouldn't have stumbled with. The committee's been dropping us down. Them boys came out firing this week.
yeah,
The first 3 drives is Cincinnati scores a tutty. They get 2 first downs, then punt, then score another tutty. What happens on SMU's first 3 drives is 3 and outs. Cincinnati
yeah.
came out ready, extra ready. Then on the 4th drive, it takes 5 different penalties on offense and defense to get SMU across the 50 for the first time in the game. And guess what? Cincinnati gets in there, forces the fumble, and recovers it. And he goes back down, scores another
Bro,
touchdown.
Smurf, we don't have to bury this lead. SMU didn't score until garbage time, man.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
scored the 14 points of that game in the fourth quarter when it was already out of hand.
yeah. I'm just saying it from the point of like this time there was no stumbling, no taking time to get their engine going for Cincy. They came out ready to smack, and that's what they did. They smacked SMU in public like a grown man, and SMU did nothing about it. And then people keep saying, "Oh well, Cincy's just they play small schools, they don't play any good teams." No, they've been playing good teams. Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, Oregon almost had a chance right there. They could have turned it around and made a miracle comeback, but Utah just got that fumble back. For those who are watching the game, keeping up. But yeah, they came out ready to play and showed like, hey, we belong in this actual playoff conversation. And then another thing I would say is like people saying they don't got really good talent. It's like, nah, they for sure on offense have an NFL ready quarterback in Desmond Ritter, who has like NFL level pre-play recognition and audibles, and then they got a NFL talent, probably second or third round talent at a wide receiver in Alex Pierce. For like an NFL comparison, I know it's time you, but a little bit younger than me, but I would say like Ed McCaffrey, Brian Finneran, from the Falcons back in the day with Vic, or Brandon Marshall, like that 6'3", 6'4", just power possession type guy.
Yeah,
Those two, their connection, immaculate. Like this is a good Cincy team. They've always been good Cincy teams. Like starting in the 2018 season, this team has only lost 6 games. Like this that's the
yeah.
team
Ever
that's
since I think Luke Fickle's first year, they went like 8-4, and
yeah,
after that, they haven't really lost many games like
yeah,
that. So
yeah,
they've been a good team for years. I think they passed the eye test for me.
yeah,
And Alabama is ranked 2 right now, but I watched a little bit of that game versus Arkansas, and I think highly of Arkansas. I like what's being done over there, but I don't think they're a team that should be within a touchdown of the second best team in the country.
okay, yeah,
So I think Alabama should drop to 3. They won't, but they should drop to either 3 or 4. And
yeah,
I think Cincy should sneak their way in. I think Ohio State should probably go into that 2 spot.
yeah,
Since he hits that 4 spot, Bama hits that 3 spot.
yeah.
Because assuming Oregon loses, which they are very clearly going to.
I mean, I've seen
Uh,
stranger things happen, but they should lose.
yeah, they should lose for sure. So yeah, basically, I'm just excited with the prospect of Cincinnati being a team that can come in and shake things up in the college football playoff, especially because they decided to play Notre Dame. They
Yeah,
didn't have to go out and do that, but they said, hey, committee, we are going to go and play a non-conference opponent that's extremely good, and Notre Dame is extremely good as a non-conference opponent for them, and they beat them handily.
yeah.
So
I mean, it was only like a 10-point game, but it was a decisive. It was decisive. Like you saw, Cincinnati's the better team.
yeah,
Like the points didn't show it. Like, oh, they're blowing out the water. But if you watch the Notre Dame game, you saw Cincy's the better team. Clearly.
put it this way: Notre Dame has played some pretty okay teams,
I mean, no,
right?
I mean, currently right now, basically Notre Dame is sort of like the ACC champion.
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, they're the best team. If you count them as an ACC team, which you can,
Yeah,
they're the best team in that conference by a long shot,
yeah,
right? They beat Purdue, who beat good teams by 2 touchdowns. They beat Wisconsin. They beat the dog piss out of Wisconsin. They lost to Cincy, and then they beat everybody else in their path. They beat North Carolina. They beat Navy. They beat VT. They beat Virginia. They dome rock Georgia Tech this week.
yeah. That one.
So
Ooh,
yeah,
that was tough to watch. But yeah,
or was that last week?
no, that was this week. They just did that today.
Oh,
This
yeah.
at noon.
So again, that's a good football team, and I think if you're the committee, you have to reward, for precedent's sake, you have to reward Cincinnati for beating Notre Dame,
Yeah, but
uh,
but all
because you reward Notre Dame for beating the teams on their schedule, right?
yeah,
And then it becomes a name thing.
yeah. But but also I would say them coming out the gate and stumping on SMU the way they did is good for Cincinnati, because you're talking about you're beating one of the best group of 5 teams out there, and then East Carolina, you got them next week, who you should handle easily because they only got like 3 or 4 wins on the season. Then in the conference championship game of your conference, you get to take on a one-loss Houston team who
Yeah,
does have a name for being good over the past 4 or 5 years. So that should be enough of a bump because Houston currently is ranked like number 21 or whatnot. So that
yeah.
Houston should also be moving up in their rankings. Once they'll probably be sitting like 15,
Houston is
16.
24 in
Um,
the college football playoff rankings.
yeah,
Houston is 17 in the AP, and they're 17 in the coaches poll.
yeah.
So
So as long as they move into the teams in the college football playoff ranking, I mean, college football playoff committee don't watch football. That's why we named our
yeah, we
podcast.
can get to that.
That's why we
They
named our
just do not.
podcast "Up Watching Hawaii" because like we're up watching these late games. Like it's only 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. This game started at 7:30, but I can almost bet you they did not watch this Oregon game. I mean,
No,
I know they didn't watch it last week. I know that for sure. They be lying. No one on that committee up watching
I
it.
don't think they watch football for real.
They don't.
And I think that there is no universe where, not no universe, because obviously you have Oklahoma and you have Oklahoma State who can sneak into that spot. But I don't think either of those teams have strong enough wins for me to say that they belong in the top 4.
Yeah,
And the committee seems to be saying the same thing. The highest one is Oklahoma State and then Baylor. and then Oklahoma, and that's 9, 11, and 13. So
Yeah,
the committee doesn't have a lot of faith in them.
yeah,
So I really want to see Cincinnati go to the playoff,
yeah,
assuming they win out.
yeah. I do. But let's start talking about some of the other
Imagine
games
if they
this week.
lose.
Let's just talk about some of the other games this week. Some of the other bigger games, because not trying to harp on this. We can get back to this at the end. But Arkansas, Bama. I wish to get amount of that game. You know, they also had a fake field goal jump pass to get them back within a tie, which is crazy that two teams pulled that out their bag this week with Arkansas and Iowa State doing it. Arkansas tight ends, watch the game. They got good hands. KJ Jefferson is a whole ass fucking problem. He should be in the Heisman conversation, but for some reason he isn't. He's nice. Arkansas defensive coordinator needs fucking help because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing half the time. How on a passing down? How you gonna send a 3-man rush against fucking Alabama? You can't just
I
sit.
don't know.
You can't just sit there and let the Alabama QB Bryce Young, who I don't believe is
Throw the
who
two
I
NFL
who,
receivers.
who I don't believe is all that good. He's gonna be like almost every other Alabama quarterback and fail besides Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen's doing pretty rough right now in the league, but besides Jalen Hurts and Mac Jones also doing pretty well, but he got Bill Belichick and Tua is not good, but but he's out there like every other Alabama quarterback before him, throwing to wide receivers doing nothing but first round, second round draft picks. He just got so much talent around him that you think he's a Heisman candidate, but you look at how good his wide receivers are. All of those boys are great. Like Miche, good. Jameson Williams, great. Like you're not stopping this wide receiver core for the most part. Well, I mean, if you got good defense, you can stop this wide receiver core like maybe with a Michigan or Ohio State or of course Georgia or Clemson. You can stop them, force them to like have to run the ball because their O line's not as good as it used to be. And then also Bama's defense is, I would give them like an A minus, B plus grade. But I will say to people like, and especially the playoff committee for ranking Alabama number 2, Alabama. This is not the Alabama teams of old. Like this is not a world beater roster, as we saw. Like Texas A&M shot these boys in the leg, and now they trying to limp their way into a playoff. Like this is not the Alabama world beater squads of old, where it's like, yo,
No.
how is someone gonna stop them? Like even before Texas A&M came and locked them up, it's like you could see a team stopping this Bama team. Like they didn't seem unbeatable. This Georgia team, who I think they played Charleston Southern today. I didn't watch that because I was like, hey, you want to see someone get shot in the head?
Ain't no point in watching that.
Yeah.
Ain't no point in watching that. Young others.
But yeah, this Georgia team, this is a world beater squad. They're good all around. They don't they can use any quarterback they have on their roster and they beating you because they just recruit out the ass. Unlike Oklahoma, using 2 quarterbacks, different story. But let me move on to the next game. Let me see what else did I watch today. So my other game during the 3 o'clock period, 3:30 period. Okay, people, y'all may not know the names of either one of these teams, but I'm gonna have to say their full names because the acronyms I might confuse it myself. It's you have the University of Alabama Birmingham Blazers, aka UAB. Then you also have the University of Texas at San Antonio.
Meet.
Roadrunners, baby. All right. Now, UTSA, besides the University of Georgia, is the only other unbeaten team coming into this week. I'm going to give y'all a little bit of background. UTSA, they play in the Alamo Dome, where the Spurs used to play the San Antonio Spurs used to play in the 90s, where they host the high school All-America football game. And then also the Alamo Bowl.
Just to correct you right quick, obviously Cincinnati went in unbeaten as well.
Oh yeah, my bad. Forgot about Cincinnati. Yeah, Cincinnati's unbeaten as well too. I'm just letting y'all know there's more motherfuckers out here. There's one more. There's one more you got to worry about.
Yeah.
They currently ranked number 22. They come to the week 10-0 versus UAB, who's 8-2. To give you a little bit of background about the University of Alabama Birmingham Blazers. In 2015 to 2016, their football program was shut down. Like, and this is after their coach Bill Clark comes in for his first season in 2014. In the middle of the season, they tell, like near the end of the season, they tell him, "Yeah, we're shutting the football program down next year permanently." Like they get money raised up. But like Bill Clark came in first season, gets them 6-6. Since this team came up in 1998, the only other two times they were bowl eligible was the year 2000 and 2004. And this man comes and finally gets y'all, back to at least better than y'all have ever been, technically. And then, since them coming back at the start of the 2017 season, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, they've been the kings of Conference USA. In those 4 seasons, they've been in the championship game 3 times and won it twice. And have not finished below 8 wins. So this is also a good small team. And UTSA this year is trying to be like, hey, we want to be kings here. And boy, oh boy, was this a good game. The funniest thing is how the game starts out. It looks good for UAB. It looks like they're back to their old ways. They go down first drive, get themselves a tutty, then force UTSA into a 3-and-out. It looks like oh, this is going great for them. Guess what happens?
Man, what happened?
The UTSA punter drops in a 73-yard bomb
Sheesh.
out of bounds, downs them inside the 10. And yeah, it was back and forth after that. I should have wrote down their names, but UTSA quarterback, good scrambling, got good wheels, holds onto the ball a little bit too long, you know. But one thing I will say about him, if you guys do get a chance to watch their games, if he sees a 50-50 route down the seam or down the outside, he throws it and just tries to force the receiver to make a play. So you're gonna see some fun deep bombs with him. Then conversely, the UAB quarterback for the Blazers, he's just a strong arm QB. He doesn't hold it too long, then takes off and runs. But when he does run, he's like a young Ben Roethlisberger, just big as shit, just stiff arming all these little cornerbacks out his way. But he's got a strong arm, so all their plays are designed to just be shots downfield. But yeah, watching the game, nice back and forth early in the game. The road runners, they were sending all their blitzes. Them shits were just getting stuffed. Like they weren't breaking into the pocket at all. I was laughing. They sent 6 guys one time against the O-line and the running back. Ain't nobody get close to the quarterback. It was sad to watch. The blitzes got better late in the half, but I will let y'all guys know how the game ended. Because if you didn't watch it, it was a barn burner. But yeah. So like the second half, no one scores until UAB puts up another tud to get up 4 with like 6 minutes left in the game. So road runners get the ball. They get 2 first downs but stall out. They punt it. Then Blazers got the ball, 3-and-out. They punt it. It's a touchback. So, mind you, the road runners are now getting the ball back with 1 minute on the clock, no touchdowns, down by 4. 3 plays, 30 seconds, they're at the 10. Then at the 10, the QB looks, it's a pass play, he says, I'm going to take off. He runs, gets it to the 1. And the clock is rolling, and they're trying to spike it. Luckily for the Roadrunners, a Blazers player goes down, ball back, 9 seconds left. They try to roll out pass to the left in the ace twins formation to the left. Don't get it. Now 7 seconds left. This is some Hollywood shit. You can't make this up. With 7 seconds left in the game on the 1-yard line, no timeouts. Ball is snapped. Low. Quarterback misses that initial snap. Goes off his foot. Picks the ball up. Rolls out. Tries to thread it between 3 defenders, between him and his tight end, who's halfway in the end zone. Tries to get over them. Gets it past the first 2. The linebacker, the third guy, he tips it. And his tight end still catches it. This is straight out of a movie. You can't make this up.
So much pain.
And the funny thing is, because they're playing at the Alamo Dome, UTSA is at home. The Railroaders are at home, and they just scored what is obviously looking like the game-winning touchdown to stay undefeated. Their clock manager forgets to stop the clock. So now the whole announcement on the broadcast on ESPN Plus, he's going into full outro mode. He's like, look, the Roadrunners have won the game. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's amazing. In the closing seconds. Then his partner's like, yeah, bro, there's still 3 seconds on the clock. He's like, oh, shit. Then he has to pull everything back. Then they do the kickoff. Looks like they're about to do, lateral palooza. UTSA guy runs down there, immediately stops all of that. And so, yeah, they stay undefeated. They're 11-0. We got 3 11-0 teams. You got a Roadrunner. You got some Bearcats. And you got some Bulldogs. Hey, and if you guys are college football fans, College Football Reddit and Sickos Committee, 2 accounts to follow on Twitter. Hey, they're all about that meepmeep life. Shout them out.
Yeah, shout out to them. I love following specifically the College Football Reddit Twitter page. They got some good stuff going on.
Yeah.
Those are good guys.
Yeah, they're good people. And they always post photos of, like, people being in some of the stadiums. Like, the stadiums be looking good. Like, Friday night, who was it? Arizona versus Washington State. They had people in the stadium doing photos because, like, bro, the game was full fog Friday night at Washington State in Pullman, Washington. Basically, like, 15 miles away from, like, University of Idaho. They basically in Idaho. That's where they play, basically. And so the game was so foggy that on the actual TV broadcast, the only camera angles they could have for you to see the game had to be lower level or sideline cameras because that's how foggy it got. Like the broadcast angles from, like, the booth and all of that, the normal angle, you couldn't see shit. But yeah, Sickos Committee was up on that. They had people at the game. Shout out Sickos Committee.
Yeah, they called it the fog ball.
Yeah, shout out Sickos Committee. Shout out College Football Reddit. If y'all follow us, y'all should follow them on Twitter. They funny.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last thing I wanted to get into was these coaches, man. An article came out, I guess it was probably a week and a half ago at this point.
Yeah.
That talked about all the dead money that all these schools are paying from firing their coach, terminating their coaches' contracts.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, pull that article.
It was an ESPN
While you pull
article.
that up, I'll talk through it. So basically, the SEC is leading this charge because if you are not winning the SEC or close to winning the SEC, your ass is grass, right? You're getting fired. And if you do well,
here we go.
Yep,
got it. Is this the? Right, I got the interactive too. Even better.
Perfect.
So
lay it on us.
So to make it short and simple, even though they don't have all the money calculated, so they're missing money here. Basically, the estimate is since 2010, basically across college football, college basketball, for men and women, just those 3 sports, and just the schools that support college football as well at Division I, we're averaging basically $50 million a year being paid to coaches to not coach in dead money. So I think currently right now, I think somebody, because College Football Reddit, of course, they were bringing it up about how this team's bad under Steve Sarkisian, and they just got rid of Tom Herman last year, and like that's $60 million in dead money they still have to pay out to Tom Herman and his staff. So that's not even in this article. Like y'all see that $53.6 million? It's at least 59 just off one coaching staff alone. That's the crazy part.
Because that's the other thing. When you fire these guys, you're not just paying out their contracts at the end of the day. You're paying off all the assistant coaches.
Yeah.
If you let a GA go, his salary is not a lot. You're letting him go as well. There's just a lot of stuff that has to. Yeah. A lot of people who have to be paid trickle down from firing your head coach, which is why a lot of these places, right, like Florida is probably going to give Dan Mullen another year because they don't want to pay him out. He fired last year. He fired position coaches. This year he fires his D coordinator. His offensive coordinator might be gone by the end of the year. You don't know. So basically, they're going to try to make all the cuts that they can before that head coach has to go. because once the head coach has to go, then you have to pay out everybody else. But
Yeah, because I know with the head coach, because it was brought up with David Fuente, current head coach. Well, was the current head coach of Virginia Tech, who got fired this Tuesday at 7:30 a.m., which is a weird time to
yeah,
announce you firing a head coach. But and that basically, like in the NFL, how there's like certain dates where money interacts a little bit differently. Same thing with college football and firing your coaches. If they would have waited until if Virginia Tech would have waited until December 15th or later to fire this guy, it would have only been 7.5 million in dead money they would owe him. But because they fired him now, it's 12 million that they owe him. So yeah, firing these coaches, that's more than likely the reason why LSU said Ed Ogeron, we're not gonna have him coach after this season instead of just
yeah,
outright firing him because the amount of money they owe him is probably substantial with the buyout
yeah. So they
clauses.
probably came up with some good like severance package for him,
Yeah,
and because there was no way they were going to let him stay, right? He was wilding. Like let's keep it a buck. He was
yeah.
wilding after he
He
won that championship.
he won a
He
natty,
was,
divorced his wife, and was posting photos with the
yeah,
hoes on Twitter. Yeah,
yeah. He was sexually
yeah,
harassing joints too. He was wilding.
yeah. He was. I mean, he was having a fun time, but he was wild.
Look, man, I'm not saying that I would go as far as he went, but I get what he did in terms of divorcing his wife, man. It's time to go have fun after you win that natty, man.
Yeah. Hey, I
Let's
mean,
keep it. Let's just keep it a beam,
hey,
bro.
bro. I mean, Natty had everybody having fun. OBJ was filling up cups and stuff. Everybody
Yeah,
was having
man.
fun.
Joe Burrow, he smoked about 15 fucking cigars
Yeah,
after that shit happened.
that's why his
Bro,
leg got
lungs was
weak.
black on his way to the league. It was jumping. But yeah, I mean, it's just hard, right? Because teams are having these unrealistic expectations of their teams.
Yeah,
There's like 30 teams who think they should be top 15 contenders every year. And so then you're constantly in a cycle of hiring and firing coaches, changing the look of your program, and trying in an attempt to basically be nationally relevant, right? And there are teams who are newer blood teams or teams that are just like generally regarded as okay teams, like the Wisconsins of the world, the Penn States of the world, uh, those types of teams who are like, yo, yeah, that team should probably be top 15. And then you have like the blue blood programs who haven't been good in a long time, but feel like, oh, we have all the
Texas.
resources to be good. Yeah, Texas, Miami, who feel like, yo, we should be good. We should be a national power. We should at least be top 15. There's 30 of those teams, fam. So it's an unrealistic expectation to have. If you're not one of those schools, if you're not Ohio State, if you're not Oregon, if you're not Alabama, if you're not Georgia, to have that expectation to be a good team every year and to continue to improve as a team every year, all these teams have this goal. And once you get out of that like top 10 to 12 schools, everybody else is kind of interchangeable. You can go from being a top 10 school last year to a top 10 school the year before that, and then now you're unranked. That's what happened with my alma mater, Florida, right? It just is what it is, bro. Like,
Yeah, I was about to talk about. I don't know if you can see it right now. I was about to talk about the person who's the top person on here for getting the most money to not coach. Will
who
Muschamp.
was that?
Will
Well,
Muschamp.
Muschamp, yeah.
He's gotten paid 19.2 million to not coach. Like he coached Florida from 2011 to 2014 seasons.
Yeah.
So in 2015 he did not coach because he just got paid. You know, how much was that? Maybe 12.9 million from Florida. So this
Yeah.
season he has not coached because he got paid 6.3 million. Wait, no, 12.9 million from South Carolina not to coach this year,
Yeah.
and then 6.3 from Florida to not coach in 2015.
Yeah.
So in 2 seasons of him not coaching,
He got paid.
he
Big
got
money.
paid. But if you just average it out over 10 years, basically, from when he started coaching at Florida, this man got paid $2 million a year. He's getting
And
paid,
2 of those years was to not coach.
yeah, and that's just on that. This is not including the money he actually got paid when he was coaching.
Yeah.
Charlie
So
Strong.
yeah, I mean, these coaches, they're making off with a killing on the. We have to talk about the root of the problem, right? They're making money off of these schools being impatient, these boosters getting
Oh
impatient.
yeah.
But bro, think about it. There's so many teams. There's so many teams. There's so many of those middling top 25 programs. And then you've got your mid majors who I don't even count in this because you can't count on like mid majors to be great. But you can count on one or two or three mid majors being great every year, even if they're different ones. So that's 3 spots that are gone. So now you're fighting for 12 spots and you're 30 to 40 schools, and you're constantly hiring and firing people who then end up, you know what they all end up doing, right? Is they go to Alabama or they go somewhere and they coach under a blue blood coach, an elite
Yeah.
coach, and they look amazing again, and they get another job somewhere else, head coaching again, and then, it's just how many times has what's his name? He coached at USC and got fired. He coached at
Lane Kiffin.
Tennessee.
Lane Kiffin.
Lane
I
Kiffin.
was about to
Lane
bring him
Kiffin.
up when you was talking
How
about it.
many times has
I'm
Lane
about to bring up his
Kiffin
coaching. I'm
gone
about to
back
bring
to
up his coaching
Alabama,
career
bro?
right now. His head
No.
coaching
How
in
many
Sports
times has he
Reference.
gone back to Alabama? Real shit.
Let me see.
At least twice, right?
Like each transition, he's going back to Alabama.
Yeah.
So since leaving Alabama, since leaving Saban, he coached a season at Tennessee, got them 7-6. Then he took
Yeah.
the job at USC. Then between USC and Florida Atlantic, he was at Bama for like what is that?
For a
Three
year, right?
seasons. Three
Oh,
seasons.
3 seasons.
Yeah, he's 3 seasons coordinating. Then Florida Atlantic gave him a job. He got them 11-3, 5-7, then 11-3. Then Ole
Yeah.
Miss gave him the job, and right now he's got him at 8-2 coming into this week. So hey, know what he doing a little bit.
And this is look. It only took him 3 tries, right?
I mean, he
Oh
got Florida
man,
Atlantic winning, and then
they did.
USC is definitely one of those blue blood programs who are paying out for people not to. Let me see, where's USC on this list?
Yeah.
Auburn's up there. Where is USC?
Who did Auburn fire?
Oh, Auburn. Remember, you got Gene Chiswick and Gus Malzahn. I think, yeah. They paid. Yeah, they paid more than 18 million together for Gene Chiswick and Gus Malzahn to stop coaching there.
Damn.
That's just for the school. That's the school in totals has paid 31.2 million over the past decade. So
Also, it's official. Oregon just suffered their worst
yeah.
loss as a top 5 school in team history. They got the brakes beat off of them. They got taken out to
Yeah.
pasture. It was bad.
Hey, Utah playing in the Rose Bowl, baby. Let's go.
Hey, it's gonna be. Look, I don't want it to be, but it's gonna be Utah, Michigan, and I'm gonna watch that shit.
Hey, yeah. I mean,
well, actually, it would be Utah, Michigan State, and Michigan ended up losing, right?
yeah. Actually, it would be. Damn. But no, wait, no. Because if 2 teams are tied, regardless of wait, no, it wouldn't be. Wait, hold on. Yeah, Wisconsin already has 2 losses, so yeah. If two teams are tied as far as conference record, it doesn't matter about head to head. The conference chooses who they send out there.
Oh, then
So
they
yeah,
would choose Michigan.
more than likely they choose Michigan because nigga, Big Ten commissioner saw what the fuck happened today. He saw that shit.
Yeah, Michigan not gonna suffer no loss like that. I can tell y'all right now, they're gonna lose. And I'm a fan. Look, man, I was raised in Ann Arbor. I fucks with Michigan a long way. They're gonna lose, but it's not gonna look like that. Hopefully.
Hey. I haven't lost faith. I haven't lost faith in Cade McNamara and Aiden Hutchinson and Haskins.
Man, I lost
We
faith
can
in
do
Harbaugh
this.
about 4 years ago.
We can do this. I mean, I lost faith in Harbaugh, but I believe in these kids. I believe in the children. What did Whitney say? The children are the future? Let's do this. Let's make this happen. Cade McNamara, come on, bro. You're playing in Michigan.
We're gonna get on right after.
You playing in Michigan. The airport has a whole terminal named after you.
Real snap, real shit.
Let's do this. You got this. You were born for this. Please. I'm begging you, bro.
Man.
I need you to do this.
Look,
I want to be able to show my face in Ohio without people saying,
this is the last thing we should talk about, bro. Here's what we can talk about the keys that Michigan needs to beat Ohio State, right? They have to be good in pass defense for the entire game. Against Michigan State, they were pretty good in pass defense for most of the game until they fell apart towards the end, right? Yeah, I don't think that the Ohio State is that great of a team on the ground. And Michigan's a really good run defense. So when you're putting them in situations where they have to pass, you can pin your ears back, you can bring a blitz, and I like what's the D coordinator's name? Josh Gaddis, right? The young guy. I believe that's his name.
Yeah, I
I
believe
think he's
it's
a good
Gaddis.
coach. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's going to have a good game plan, but it's all going to come down to, can Michigan keep up with scoring with Ohio State? Because they're going to score, bro. They're going to score. You might have to put 30 points on the board to beat Ohio State. You might have to. So, and I think Michigan's equipped. I think they're equipped. I think they can do it.
Yeah, we have the tools to do it. It's just, can we keep it together the whole
Yeah.
game? Can't do we? Because I mean, with Michigan State, the only part of the game we played bad was the second half of the third quarter. Like, we just completely folded,
Yeah.
and then we got it back together. But that's what Harbaugh's known for. When booty holes get tight, he collapses.
Uh,
And I don't know what Harbaugh's problem is. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it's always in these last second situations he collapses. Like, let's go all the way back to, what is it, 2014, 2015 with the failed punt. Let's not
yeah.
let's not let's not talk
Against
about
Michigan State.
let's not talk about let's not talk about how, let's not talk about how the holder snapped it a little bit off target and they got fumbled. Let's not talk about how the person who protected it and audible and pay attention to the fact they didn't have a returner back and you had 10 guys on the line in front of you ready ready to come at you. Let's not talk about it. Let's just talk about the fact that the punt should have never happened in the first place. We were
Agreed.
equipped. We
Agreed.
were equipped to run
You
out the.
can literally run around in the
We
backfield
we were
and
equipped.
fall on the
We
ground.
were equipped to run out the clock when we got
Yeah.
possession of that ball.
Yeah.
We should have ran out the clock. We had it.
I believe there were 7 seconds left. If you can't have somebody you get in the first in the
No, I'm not even
shotgun,
talking about. I'm not even talking about getting to the punt. Fourth down should never even happened.
no, I know that too.
Yeah.
But you got to the point, right? You got to that, right?
Yeah.
Where you snapped the ball early a couple times, blah blah blah. Now you can't punt that ball, and if you are going to punt that ball does not get, you don't get 3 steps into that punt. They're down what, 6? I believe they're down 6 or 5. They're down more than a field goal. Is the
Yeah,
point
they were down more than a field goal.
And so there is no way you put the ball in their hands. It's like Oregon. When I watched Oregon today, they look like a poorly coached football team to me. Because going into halftime, right? It's 4th down. It's 11 seconds left before halftime. How are you kicking the ball in the air? I kick a line drive in the air? That ball should not have touched his hands. It should have been punted away from him. It should have been punted out of bounds. It should have been anything else.
They are poorly coached. Because if the listeners, if you guys were up watching the game with us at the same time, like this when we're listening to podcasts, like the game's up. Like, I literally just got the chain on my ESPN. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Your event has ended. Yeah, like we up watching this, but it's like the fact that you got the ball after the kickoff with 23 seconds left in the half, and the other team somehow ends up with a touchdown, lets you know the coaching is all over the place. They don't know what they're doing. It's all gone wrong. All right, Ole Miss is up 31-17 on Vanderbilt, as expected. Let's see, Oregon State and Arizona State just got started. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, shout out to ASU. I'm gonna watch that joint.
Yeah. Oh, shout out Herm Edwards, bro. He really turned around that program.
He's such a good person. Yeah. From what I see and from what people tell me about him, I got a couple friends that go to ASU. I got a couple friends that work in the athletic department over there. And they say, I've heard no bad things about Herm Edwards ever.
Well, actually,
so shout out to him.
Give me the time. Hold on. I might gotta pull up my stream to watch the boxing match. Yeah, that's right. Hey, we're trying to, with the way we're trying to work on this podcast, we're naming up. We're up watching Hawaii. They're the last college football game to play, and want to have it end right when most of the time those Saturday night combat sports end. We're a little bit early tonight, but hey, tonight, hopefully you all end up watching Terrence Crawford versus Shawn Porter. It's gonna be a great fight. WBC title on the line. Should be a great fight. I mean, I have Terence Crawford as my number 2 pound for pound fighter in the world right now, behind Nayano Inoue. If you don't know who Nayano Inoue is, aka Monster, just type in the Monster boxing Asian. Just type that in on Google. You'll find him. You'll see him. He ain't like the rest of these dudes out here. He different.
He's not for play.
Oh, he not for play. He not for real either. D- like, don't do nothing with him. But yeah, but yeah, you guys should watch that fight. Terrence Crawford, Shawn Porter. It's gonna be a great fight. One of these fights with title unification between two champions. That's the stuff we want to see as boxing fans that they got away from for a while. But yeah, you guys should watch that. You guys should watch that fight. Hopefully, watch that fight. We might even
Yeah.
come on later, record like a little 5 minute commentary of how what we saw in the fight and how we liked it. But also in fight news, UFC card tonight as well. My wifey Misha Tate unfortunately lost to Kathleen Vieira. It was a good fight, great fight. Both of them came out like warriors. But sometimes somebody got to win. I mean, it can't be a draw, but somebody got to win. And unfortunately, my wifey didn't come out on top. That was unfortunate. She got all bloody and everything, but it was cool. And one person who was not able to fight tonight. Great story. That would have been for this fight. A guy named Terence Mckinney. He ended up being exposed to COVID, so they lopped him off the card last second. Unfortunate, but it would have been nice to see him fight with his former high school coach, wrestling coach, being on the card as well, in Michael Chiesa. Chiesa also lost today as well, tonight as well. It's not a wasn't a good card for the people that like Misha Tate lost. Michael Chiesa lost to Sean Brady, and then Joe JoJo Wood, formerly JoJo Calderwood. Yeah, she got married to a coach who basically has the same last name as her before this fight, and yeah,
Nope.
she got the brakes beat off her as well. Man, it was crucial. Everything was fine in the stand up, everything was even, moving slow, moving. Then DeSantos hit her dead in the face with a big shot. She crumpled on the fence.
Nothing was the same after that.
Yeah, somehow she got back up. He's like, oh, she's recovered. It might be the same. The Santos hit her with a boom, another one, and then it was just a slow process to her getting
Give me
a
that.
rear naked choke. It was a nice one to watch.
That's dope. Last thing, I know I said last thing a couple times, but last thing for this week, what are we looking forward to next week? Give me your 3 big games next week, and fights next week that you are interested in. Any combination, 2 fights, 1
Let me
game, 2
let me
games, 1
see.
fight,
Let me
whatever.
see the fights next week. I'm about to check the schedule real quick.
All
You know,
right, while you check the fight schedule, I'll go through mine. It's rivalry week in college football, so we got Michigan, Ohio State, bright and early at 12 p.m. on Saturday.
yeah, that
But
that
before
that
that,
is probably the biggest game next week.
yeah.
You got
But before that, on
yeah.
Thursday, we got Ole Miss and Mississippi State. I'm super excited for that.
Hey,
I
Egg
love
Bowl
that
baby,
Thanksgiving night
Egg Bowl
game.
baby.
Yes, sir. And I believe that's in Starkville, but I'm not totally sure. Let me check right quick. It is at Davis Wade.
Wait, this
So yeah, that's in Starkville.
okay. It doesn't look like UFC. Oh, shit. Excuse me for the hiccup, y'all. Yeah, wait, because today is UFC does not have a card next week, but I will have
Oh,
to look into it. Apparently, one championship has a card coming up. Let me see if I can find it real quick. For those of you who are just getting into combat sports, just getting into MMA, or
like me.
still relatively new, One FC One FC is basically the Asian version of the UFC. They got nothing but killers over there. If you guys may recall someone, or if you ever hear his name brought up during the UFC broadcast, a guy named Mighty Mouse, aka Demetrius Johnson, who was the killer of the lower weight classes in the UFC for like a decade and a half. That's where he fights at now. He's over there fighting Asians who come from different kinds of MMA backgrounds, doing stuff like Leftway, aka Burmese kickboxing, where if a guy gets knocked out, he gets 10 minutes to recover, and he gets asked, "Hey, you want to keep fighting?" And they do
Damn,
it. A guy won a championship like that. They different
that's
over there.
crazy.
They different and they fun over there. Let me see. Checking this out.
Yeah, I might have
Sherdog,
to watch some of that.
Alex Silva. Okay, that's one person name I see on the card. And oh, they got Lito fighting. Yeah, it's gonna be a nice card. Try to catch. I don't know where it's gonna broadcast in America. I can't tell you. They're fighting in Singapore. That's all I
Look,
can tell you.
man,
If
you
if
gotta catch. Hey,
if you are
you
listening to
know
this
what to hit them sites.
podcast,
If you a fan of what we do over here, you know how to hit them
yeah,
sites, man. You gonna
and
find it. You gonna
and
find it.
if I get this podcast out in time, and you happen to be in Singapore on November 26th, hey, go watch this shit live in person. Hey, it's gonna be
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, that's all I got for fights. UFC doesn't got a card next week. They got one coming up on the 4th with you got Jose Aldo and Rob Font fighting. Then the big one, which I'm probably going to stream if you guys end up coming to our Discord server, which we're sort of a baby right now, so we're sort of you know piggybacking off of another Discord server. Shout out the Say Less podcast with Kaz, Lowkey, and Rosy.
Yeah,
If
shout out to them.
shout out to them,
Great
that's
pod, by the way. Give that a listen.
yeah. Give that podcast a listen. If you guys don't know, if you guys don't know who these people are, I mean, Rosie, she the best homie of the two of Lowkey and Cash. She don't got nothing out here. She just out here in these streets, like Jadakiss said. She outside all day, every day. That's who she is. But if you guys might know Lowkey, Apple playlist R&B hip hop throwbacks. He'll set every week on Apple Music. Go check that out if you know about that. And yeah, and Kazim Famawide, you might know about him if you're in the New York area. Definitely, he hosts MSG PM, which was formerly MSG AM, with Monica McNutt. He out there hosting that. You might see him on TV. He's been a writer for like the WWE. If you know wrestling, you probably know him as well too. But the biggest thing y'all might know them for, these are the boys who used to put together Henny Palooza and Do Say Palooza. If y'all
Yeah.
like that or ever went to one of their events, check out their podcast. They got stories.
But yeah, we're in the Say Less Pod Discord server. You guys can hit me up on Twitter if you got anything that you want me to talk about on the pod. I'll bring it up. Simon underscore E32 on Twitter. I'll make sure that gets in the description as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we need to cover this week?
This week. I mean, stop. I want news publications stop slandering OBJ, saying he's a detriment to the passing game. They had 54 snaps. He's only got 15 of them. He didn't mess
Yeah.
anything up. He couldn't have done that.
Stupid.
He only got three targets. He caught 2 of them. The third one, Matt
and
Stafford
Ravens
threw
to
it
the
wrong.
Super Bowl. Big
Ravens.
facts.
No,
Lamar's the GOAT.
no,
You already know what's going down.
Cowboys to
We
Super
out.
Bowl. Cowboys to Super Bowl. Dak Prescott hit up Alex Smith, got the Legatron 9000. You can't stop him now.
All right, y'all. We out.
And we out, baby. Oh, my socials: OG Smurf 826, aka Ski Mask Smurfy. OG Smurf 826 on everything. It's always gonna be me. I'm the only one. No spaces, no capital letters. Just the OG. Put a Smurf in it. Numbers 826. Find me on Twitter. Hit me up. And good night, bitch.
Peace.
Hey, what is up, world? It's the boy Smurfy here. I'm not joined by Simon now. We're in the extra cut. That fight we just mentioned while we were logging off between Terrence Crawford and Shawn Porter. Yeah, we just watched that. You're back with the Up Watching Hawaii Sports podcast. And literally right now Hawaii's playing, but they're not nationally broadcast. I don't know where to find it. And we don't do illegal streams here. Yeah, I paid good money for this pay-per-view. Wink wink. But I'm joined here by another member of the podcast. We got Cold Cuts in the building.
Was good.
Yeah. So you watched the same fight that I just watched. Did you catch any of the first round? Because I missed. I came in at the tail end of the first round.
I was the same. I came in like at the last 30 seconds of the first round. I didn't know who to give it to, so I just didn't rate it for anyone.
Yeah. Because I got mine here in my notes on my phone of who I rated it for.
But even after that, because I have some app that where I give the boxers their score.
Yeah.
And I the way I rated it. I gave it to Shawn Porter up until that last round.
Yeah,
I had him up for 2 rounds.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at mine. I'm looking at mine. So let me see. Yeah, with the rounds I watched, I had it tied, but I had more swing rounds for Crawford than I had for Porter. Like Crawford, I gave him three of his rounds of swing rounds for me, and what Porter only had 1 swing round. So yeah,
for me,
yeah. So it's like on my card, Like, even though I had it tied, I still felt like Porter was winning the fight.
Yeah, because I had it even on the first because I didn't rate it, and the seventh because I couldn't watch it. But everyone since then, I had Porter up by 2, except for those 2 rounds, seventh and the first. So I couldn't really watch them.
Yeah, they said the first round Porter won, so that means by my scorecard, that means going into going into that 10th round, Porter would have been up by 1. Arguably, Porter up by 1, arguably up by 3, or down by 1 by my card. So yeah, he could have easily gotten up, survived that, and then
I
possibly
I
still
really
won the
do.
fight on points.
I really do think he could have just stood up and then just hugged his weight out
Yeah,
through that whole fight. Not the whole fight, but through that whole round. Survived and then came back in the next round.
yeah, get in the corner, get himself back together. Because I mean, you could tell by
Yeah,
the way he was slamming his fist and everything. Like he was fully aware. He was upset
like
with
he got
himself.
hurt. He
Yeah,
got hurt, but he knew he got hurt. And he knew like, all right, I gotta fix this up.
yeah. Like he got hurt. He was aware he got hurt, and he was able to get up. But he was more so upset with himself because he knew he fucked up. He knew he left himself open for those shots that Terrence hit on him.
Yeah,
And
and it wasn't like a devastating shot where like he got hit in the liver and he just like had to drop. He was just like, all
yeah,
right, I got dropped. I need to get back. I need to come back after this.
yeah. But let me see what else I got here written down. Yeah, uh, yeah. Head clash in the third that opened up
Porter.
Porter. Then head clash in the sixth that opened up Crawford. So it's like when both guys are getting open up from head clash, that'll let you know they're staying busy, staying busy. Because like in the fifth round, Porter like stayed in the pocket on the inside like the whole round and was mixing the whole time. And I was
That's
like, I because I'd already written in in the I'd already written in the fourth round. I was like, yo, this is a crazy pace in my notes, and they kept that pace up the whole fight. Like
well.
prop,
That's just Porter though. Porter likes to
yeah,
keep it going. He
like
doesn't. When you watch him fight, he was like he doesn't want to box with you. He wants to fight with you
yeah,
in the pocket.
yeah. He fights in the pocket, and honestly, for someone who I've watched for some years now, and Terrence Crawford, that's actually how you would want to fight him, because
Yeah.
Terrence is a very good tactician. Like the biggest thing with Terrence Crawford is that he can fight equally world class talent, orthodox or southpaw. And so
And
like
he can switch. He can switch up from orthodox and southpaw himself.
yeah, you'll see, I've seen him do it multiple times in fights where it's like his game plan that he had wasn't working in one stance. He'll switch to the other stance, trying out a new game plan, sees that something in that game plan works, but it doesn't work from the opposite hand. So then he switches back and uses the game plan he had in the opposite hand stance and won a fight that way. And then
Yeah,
sometimes it was,
he's
and I've seen one fight where he just kept switching the whole fight. Like he never
no,
he never chose a hand.
he will switch up. He will just like because it's hard because when you see a boxer just usually they fight towards one side. They never switch it up. But Bud's kind of unique in where he will switch it up on you, and if he doesn't choose one side, he's gonna just go fuck with you the whole time after that.
Yeah, because a common thing I've seen Bud Terrence do, because Terrence didn't fight tonight. Bud fought tonight. That's who was out here tonight was Bud. Terrence
Yeah.
Terrence is back home. Terrence back home chilling, taking notes.
Oh
Bud
yeah, he
Crawford,
didn't. He didn't come. He tried to box, and Shawn Porter didn't let that happen.
yeah, Sean didn't let that happen. So Bud had to come out and be like, "No, we're just fighting. This is a,
Yeah.
this is a, this is a fight, not a boxing match. This is not a sweet science. This is just
Like I'm gonna come in and throw at you, and
yeah,
if you don't get these hits, and if you
yeah,
don't respond, you can go down.
yeah." I mean, on a lot of scorecards, Shawn Porter was winning the fight, which is something I will say about Terrence Crawford is that versus, I mean, he in the interviews afterwards, he said, yeah, Shawn Porter was the best option I had because the rest of the champs in the division don't want to take the fight with me. And the thing that I've seen with Terrence Crawford versus the other champs in his division of his era, he takes a lot of fights that even champions don't typically take. Like he fights the guys who you're not supposed to fight to keep your record soft and cushy. So
Yeah,
like
he
that's
takes
why
all
yeah, that's why he doesn't get like
takes
a
anyone.
yeah, that's why he doesn't get like a lot of like, second, third, fourth round KOs. Because he's fighting guys who you're not supposed to fight. He's fighting guys that are very tough that you gotta figure out like trying to think who he fought 2 fights before this. Oh, Kell Brook.
Cal Brook is dangerous.
Yeah, he fought him after Errol Spence fought him. Errol Spence, Errol Spence, I think, yeah, Errol Spence knocked him out like 10th or 11th round, and fig- Crawford didn't even have time, didn't even figure out Kell Brook. He
Well,
just
if you
he was just in the middle of the fourth round. He just landed a perfectly timed and perfectly placed counter shot.
the crazy thing about the Cal Brook fight, it was Cal Brook fought Triple G and made Triple G look human
Yeah,
in his fight, and he got like one of his orbitals broken, and that's why he had to. That's why they stopped the fight.
yeah,
Like Cal Brook would have still kept on going had he not
yeah,
got his face broken.
yeah.
But then he fought Errol Spence. Errol Spence broke the other orbital
Yeah,
on the other side of his face. It was insane.
yeah, but Terrence Crawford fights guys like that. It's like, hey, you're definitely not supposed to fight this guy if you want to stay champ.
Yeah.
You're supposed to
Oh,
fight
yeah.
this. You're only supposed to fight guys like Kell Brook when the money's right. Terrence Crawford is like,
Don't,
no, the money's never gonna
yeah,
be right. I'm a
don't fight Cal Brook.
yeah,
Don't do that.
yeah, don't do
He's
that.
not a smart guy.
Yeah,
And he took that fight and won it on the fourth.
yeah. He
But
took
he
that.
also beat. Remember, he also beat Amir Khan.
Yep. Yeah. He. I think what had happened. Yeah, because
I remember.
it looked like a body shot. It looked like a regular body shot that was a little bit low. That was a little bit lower than what would be a liver shot. And then it looked like Amir Khan had just given up. But like
Yeah.
the way Amir Khan was walking while he was saying he didn't want to fight, something looked weird. Then it came back. He that shot partially tore Amir Khan's hip flexor.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah. So
I
Amir,
remember seeing it, like watching it. I was like, oh, that shot kind of
I
hit his
feel like
thigh.
did we watch it in here?
I didn't watch it here. I remember watching it like a couple of years ago. I watched it live.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was
Yeah. I remember. Yeah. We you weren't there, but we did watch it in here in the SayLess Discord server, baby. If you're listening to us right now, that's where we broadcast from. Come in, check it out. It's a great place. You'll love it. And also the podcast is great too. Shout out Kazim. Shout out Lowkey. Shout out Rosy. Look their names up on Twitter. They should probably come up as the first people. If not, on Twitter, just type in SayLess Kaz Low. They ran out of characters. They couldn't fit Rosy in there, but we still love her though. But yeah, we watched it in here, and then that's what we all said initially. Was like, wait, did Amir Khan just give up? And then it was
that's
like something
literally
looks
it
off.
looked like he did.
Yeah, but then like a week later came out like he partially tore like his hip flexor or something around there. And so
Yeah.
like the fact that he just felt something was off, like different off than he ever felt. He's like it didn't hurt extremely. He's like something just didn't feel right down there, and he just stopped and like if he would have kept fighting, he possibly could have like left that ring permanently walking different for the rest of his life.
No, yeah, because like he took a nasty shot from Canelo. And I remember him like getting knocked out from the Canelo shot. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Terrence Crawford doesn't hit like that.
Yeah, Terrence
And
Crawford
then he
does
knocked
not
him
hit
out, and I was
size.
like, okay, now I get why, because that shit
Yeah,
fucked him up for whatever reason.
yeah. But let's also talk about the post-fight interview with Kevin Porter, Sean's dad. Holy shit! If that isn't like a double down of basically saying, "Hey, my son ain't shit," but also I don't know how to be an actual good boxing coach.
That was so bad. That
Yeah,
was so fucking bad. Could have said like, look, I saw him get knocked down twice. That was enough for me. Don't want him to go out like that. I'm gonna let him just live to fight another day. Could have said that. But instead he said, "Yeah, my son wasn't ready."
Yeah, he basically said my son's a dumb knucklehead who didn't properly prepare for a boxing match. He shouldn't have been out here in the first place. But it's like, bro, you train him. You train him.
Yeah, well,
How are you saying he didn't train properly? That's your job.
I mean, I get it. I get you could say that. Like, what's his name? Andy Ruiz, when they said like, yeah, he didn't prepare for
Yeah,
Josh Gordon's second fight, and
Andy Reeves was out there partying nonstop.
yeah, he was out there partying. But that wasn't Shawn Porter.
Yeah, yeah. Shawn
Porter doesn't do that. Like Shawn Porter was
was in
actually
camp.
out here.
Shawn Porter was in camp doing the proper thing, but you know, I feel like possibly Shawn Porter also threw his game plan out the window once he got hurt a couple times. You know, everybody got a game plan until they get punched in the mouth. But
That is true.
Shawn Porter fought a good fight. I feel like when it got stopped, I feel like he could have kept fighting. Could have kept fighting, but at bare minimum, at least survive the round to fight another round.
Yeah, he could have hugged him. He could have clinched him the whole way
Yeah.
out for the next round, and then recovered for the next. He could recover that round, and then came back in the next, and possibly win it. Had Bud Crawford came out tired, but who knows?
I mean, at worst, he would have got knocked down the third time and fight's over.
Yeah, I think they should have let him go on.
Yeah, the ref was ready to let him go on. I mean, I was watching it. You could clearly hear Shawn Porter when the ref asked him, do you want to continue fighting? Shawn's like, yes, I want to continue fighting. Then the ref is about to get him, do the walk here, walk there, show me your hands. Then the ref is doing that. Then he sees his pops come in his corner come up and be like, no, this is over. And it's just
that's the thing, though. You also don't see enough corners go out there and stop their guys from going out and killing themselves.
I think in this one, they shouldn't have stopped it. But I've seen a lot where it's like, hey, the corner needs to step in and just stop this. Like Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, the second one.
Yeah.
Deontay was still capable of fighting, but his corner did the right thing his corner did the right thing of stopping it where it was, because he was out of it for at least 3 rounds. Whereas Tyson Fury hit him with that one shot that knocked off his equilibrium. It was like for 3 rounds.
He never looked like he came back.
Yeah, he never fully came back, and his corner did the right thing stopping it when they did. This is premature. It's a little premature, especially
at this level when you see I could see you doing that for a guy who's coming up, and then you don't want him to go all the way out. You leave him you stop the fight, let him come back in the next few fights. But damn, in a fight like this is a huge fight for him. This is probably like his biggest fight left. Had he not won this, he's probably gonna go like up and comers now after this.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna wait. Now I'll have to look up who's people do not pay attention. I do not use Bing. I mean, I do mess with Microsoft, but I don't use Bing. That's just the homepage for this. Boxing champions. Let me see who would be left in the welterweight division. Here we go. Let's see. A Russian and a Cuban. Neither names that I know.
That weight division is always stacked.
Oh, Yugas. Okay, I know that face.
Yugas. He just beat
yeah, who did he?
Pacquiao.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, Yugas just beat Pacquiao.
So he's like what? Is he the WBA super champ now?
Yeah, WBA super champ. I hate the way the WBA does it. A super champ, regular champ.
Well, yeah, because everybody else does an interim champ, but they do a super champ, which okay.
Well, interim champ just only occurs when your actual champ just can't fight. I mean, the UFC overuses interim for their different nefarious reasons, but the only person.
Usually they were pretty good about using it until obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean, no, they sort of started overusing it just to try to fake set up hype promo by making someone else champ. Like prime example, there's no reason right now Cyril Gahn should be the interim champ. He's just be the number one contender.
Contender. Yeah, there was
Like
zero
like
reason to do that.
yeah, no, they did that because contract disputes, which is a subject we'll get into on another episode of the podcast about UFC money now drastically
Yeah,
underpaid the fighters again.
because Ngannou wants to get out of his contract almost already.
Well, it wasn't Ngannou trying to get out of his contract. He was trying to renegotiate for his next contract because he's champion.
Yeah.
And then he was also trying to set up some boxing matches, but Dana was trying to get in the way of that and try to make him use Zuffa boxing, even though that's not in his contract anywhere. But yeah, it's a lot
Also,
of
Uber
shoddy stuff
boxing
going on.
doesn't even exist.
Yeah. Well, no, whatever little thing they set up for the Conor Mayweather fight is what they were trying to get him into. But we'll save that. We'll save that discussion for another day. Let's end this off talking about this current fight and how good it was. Let's talk about who was in the crowd.
Oh, you're talking about Spence?
Yeah,
Errol Spence Jr.?
Errol Spence Jr.
Dude,
was in the crowd. Because I've
dude,
seen it. Shakur Stevenson as well. He was in the ring. He's always there with Terence Crawford. They always support one another. Just to let you guys know, other people in the building, just in case you guys get mad at us. But yeah, Errol Spence Jr. One of the he holds the
he's like pound for pound
WBC.
top like welterweight champ or pound for pound welterweight fighter right now.
He has the IBF and WBC belts right now, and he's the fight that everyone's been wanting to make with Terence Crawford for a while now, throughout the past 2-3
Well,
years,
yeah,
saying
about 2 3 years.
yeah, they've been on a crash course, and it's like Errol Spence has been avoiding them. I mean, one time it seems like things were in plan set up, and uh, you know, shout out to the man upstairs letting Errol Spence survive that car accident.
Well, I don't think it was him avoiding. I think it was him going for what's his name? The guy Pacquiao. Fuck. The guy Pacquiao beat for the WBA championship belt.
The one Pacquiao beat. Hold on,
Yeah.
that's the easy way to get to
Ah,
whoever that was.
I feel so shitty right now. I'm forgetting his name because he was the best guy
Oh,
at welterweight.
Thurman.
Yeah, Thurman.
Yeah, Thurman.
Because,
That's right. He
well,
was going for Thurman.
if you remember, he wanted the Thurman fight real fucking bad. He was calling him out. He was saying, "Yo, me and Thurman gonna fight. Like this is a fight to
Did
make."
they fight? Wait, hold on. Yeah,
They
they
never
never
fought.
fought. Yeah, they never fought.
And Spence was always gunning for the Thurman fight. That was his goal, and that was before Bud was actually coming up to welterweight.
Yeah. Before he came up, even
Yeah.
before Bud came up, they said Spence versus Crawford is the fight to make eventually.
Yeah.
And
Well, Spence versus Thurman.
yeah, they said Spence versus Thurman. They said the real fight they wanted to make, like the big money fight, because promoters are always looking for the biggest money. The biggest fight they wanted to make was have Crawford come up and fight Spence. Even though people knew that would take time, but yeah, Thurman and Spence should have happened, but it never did.
Well, first of all, Spence versus Pacquiao should have happened first. That's what they were setting up.
Yeah, but also I don't think nobody wanted to see Errol Spence beat up on old man Pacquiao.
That too, and then that fell out. Pacquiao got out of his whatever contract he had with Top Rank, and then COVID happened, fucked everything up. He fought Ugas, and then Ugas ended up winning, and now it's just Bud against Spence. That's all we have left now in this division. There's no other fight left for that now.
Yeah, no, the only fight left for that division really is Spence versus Crawford. Because Ugas just got the belt, and they're probably gonna try to rematch with Pacquiao.
Didn't Pacquiao like declare his retirement already?
You're never sure with Pacquiao if he's ever really retired.
That is true, but assuming he's retired, I think Ugas just takes whatever mandatory they give him. And the fight to make should be fucking Crawford versus Spence.
I mean, it is the fight to make, but Spence walked out immediately once the fight was declared over. And
Yeah,
Spence always talks about how he pays no attention to Crawford, but sitting there front row,
there ain't no way to pay attention to him now. Like, you gotta pay attention
yeah,
to this fool now.
like
Like,
it,
Crawford is like, you cannot downplay him anymore. That man
yeah,
is just pound for pound. Like, if
yeah,
not number one, he's up there with Spence.
yeah. And
Ain't no way.
this is his biggest fight to make because you can't, he definitely can't cut weight to go down weight classes anymore. So Josh Taylor's off the table, not unless Josh Taylor moves up or Javante Tank Davis comes up.
Hank ain't moving up at all either.
Yeah,
He's too short too for this whole division.
yeah, but trying to move from 147 to 154, that's a big jump. And you got and the big dog there, Jermell Charlo. You don't want no problems there.
Yeah, you
So
have one of the Charlos in there.
yeah, Jermell. I think Jermell's the younger one.
I remember there's Jermel and Jamal. I think
Yeah,
Jamal
they
is.
shouldn't make their names so similar.
Yeah, that makes it so fucking.
Jamel's 31. I think Jamel might be the older one. Jamal is. Wait, are they twins?
They're twins. Yeah, they're like
Why
basically
have I never
almost
realized this?
really. I think
I've
Jamal
never realized they
is
were twins. Oh my god. I thought they were separated by like 1 or 2 years. Oh, I feel so stupid.
no Jamal is the one who is up in weight. He's the middleweight champ.
Yeah, Jamal. Yeah, I'm
Jermel
looking at it
is,
right now. Yeah, Jamal's middleweight. Jamal
but
is.
also like Jermel is the most dangerous one because people thought that the loss he had wasn't really a loss. He should have won that fight, came back and then knocked the dude out, and then Jamal actually is the one who's not as good as people think he is.
Yeah, Jamal's still good. I
He's
mean,
still good. He's
he's.
still undefeated, but
Yeah,
people think he should have lost one of his last. I think it was against Dennis Hogan
yeah.
where he should have lost. Not Dennis Hogan. What is this? Fucking Russian dude? Something like that.
Yeah, he had a couple of fights where he should have lost.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, Canelo does too, but that's neither here nor there.
yeah, a lot of the guys do. There's a lot of politics when it comes to boxing.
Yeah.
But
But still, going up in weight, yeah, it's still a rough
yeah,
one to do.
Earl Spence can't run anywhere. There's nowhere for him to go. He has to fight Terrence.
But he's also a big motherfucker. Like, he's still big. Like, he can still go up,
Yeah,
but he would have to still reestablish himself as a new middleweight now.
yeah,
Yeah, there ain't like he can duck Crawford because he is a champion, and there's no
See,
mandatory for him to fight another champion in another.
well, hold on. Let me see. There will be a mandatory if where is it at? Where is it at? Not because I'm on the champions page. Where is the rankings page?
Because he's a WBC champion.
Yeah. But oh, here we go. Current boxing rankings. Let me see. Light welterweight. All right, so Errol Spence, Shawn Porter. The only thing that looks like it from the rankings list that's currently out,
They got
according to
Riddle
Wikipedia, is that possibly the IBF could make Terence Crawford a mandatory because Shawn Porter was ranked number 2 for IBF, so that could become a possible mandatory. That would make the fight happen, or make Errol Spence run.
For who?
It'll become a mandatory for Errol Spence to have to fight Terence Crawford because
Did they do that?
Yeah, because each org has like their weird ranking system that they use. So
Yeah.
basically, the number one contender wins enough fights or has like enough fights won within that basically like some weird ranking point system where they're basically like ranked as being higher than the champion, then that's when the mandatories come. Or if it's or sometimes it's just because of it's like, hey, you've been fighting too many beer cans, so we're gonna force you to fight someone on this list of like 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah, because I thought it was anybody who also wasn't a champion. Once you became championship status, you're no longer in the rankings. You're somewhere else.
Yeah, a lot of times they kick those guys off their rankings once they become champion.
Yeah,
But
because right now for WBC, Virgil Ortiz and
yeah,
Mikey Garcia
yeah,
are top 2. Then they have like a Russian actually in the 3rd.
yeah,
But WBC doesn't have an interim champ for welterweight, do they?
yeah. WBC doesn't do interim champs, I don't believe.
Well, no, they do interim champs, but that's pretty much to set up a mandatory up.
Yeah, I think the WBC does interim champs only when the actual champ is hurt. Like if it,
I think Dillian White is some sort of champ for the WBC in the heavyweight division.
I believe. Let me see, Dylan
Oh
White.
yeah, like
Yeah,
Dillian White,
Dylan.
he's an
Yeah,
interim.
he's the interim. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think WBC what they do is they set up interim champs to become
No,
mandatories for the main champ.
yeah. I believe Dylan White became interim champ because of the forced rematch clause that Deontay Wilder exercised they were trying that Tyson Fury's promotion camp was trying to get out of for so long. That
Yeah,
basically
but
that basically Dylan White fought who he needed to fight, and he was in basically in talks to fight Tyson Fury. Like most of the documents were signed. It was like once I got yanked out, it was like, okay, Dylan, you want your next fight against one of the top 10 guys. You're
here's the thing.
interim champ. You're mandatory, basically.
Here's the thing. Dylan White had lost to Povetkin in
Didn't he?
2020, and then
Who did he beat?
Povetkin beat Dillian White.
Yeah, then Dylan
And
White came back and beat Povetkin
yeah, but
in March.
Povetkin had only had the interim championship belt.
Yeah,
But
he
this
wait.
is all like
Okay, yeah,
WBC
he won it.
fuckery
Yeah,
though.
he got the interim champ in 2019. Dylan White had it, then defended it, then lost it to Povetkin, then won it back from Povetkin.
Well, no, Dillian White
No,
he's had
I'm looking at it right now. He had the WBC interim champ. He won it against Oscar Rivas in 2019.
he's had such a fucking like bad relationship with the WBC though.
Yeah, Dylan White should have definitely had the um the opportunity to hold to at least get a shot for one of the big belts a while
Oh,
ago.
he's been eating this like because his title shot should have came a while ago, but I think it was just that hype between Wilder and Fury and
Fury and
Joshua.
yeah,
That
Joshua.
WBC was just like, there's too much money in this. We can't do this yet.
Yeah, and then Ruiz beats Joshua. That basically just sent everything in the heavyweight division in a spiral.
Yeah.
But we'll get into all that stuff on a later pod. I think we got enough for tonight after watching the fight.
Yeah.
Errol Spence, if you end up hearing this, stop being a bitch. Fight Terrence Crawford. I'm
But by
Smurfy.
now it's time now.
Yeah, yeah, it's been time. But I'm Smurfy. This is Cold Cuts. This is the Up Watching Hawaii podcast. You got any socials you might want to give out to the people?
I ain't getting nobody myself.
All right. Well, y'all know how to find me. It's OG Smurf 826 anywhere and everywhere. It's the boy Ski Mask Smurfy. This is the Up Watching Hawaii podcast, and we out,
See you next week.
bitch.